Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Rashmi Sinha from Indira Gandhi National Open University. Today, we will learn about module Secular Trend in Growth in the paper Human Growth and Development. Now, what are we going to learn in this module? What are the objectives? We will learn what is secular trend, what could be the probable cause for the secular trend, what is positive secular trend, negative secular trend, and also the absence of secular trend. Changes in body size, fatness, rate of growth and timing of maturation have been occurring over the past 150 years. We also are witnessing a decline in mortality, an increase in life expectancy, and a large increase in the proportion of the population that is elderly in both industrialized and developing countries. The attainment of large size and acceleration of maturation over several generations are collectively labeled as the secular trend. The term secular trend refers to differences among groups within a population that are explained totally or largely by differences in birth dates. If the range of birth dates is less than about 10 years, any observed growth differences that are related to birth dates are more likely due to sampling variations than to secular trends. Exceptions in this statement may occur. However, when the environmental influences on growth change very rapidly, as can occur during war and famines. It includes several trends: increases in heights and weight during childhood and adolescence, reduction in the age at menarche, and reduction in age of attaining other indicators of biological maturity. These are reversible and complex phenomena that reflect the remarkable sensitivity or plasticity of growth and maturation processes in the environmental conditions under which children and adolescents are reared. The period of secular changes evident in different populations varies in response to differential rates of improvement in environmental influences related to nutrition, physical activity, socio-economic status, and health. In a review of secular trends taking place in industrialized nations of the world, over the last few centuries, secular trends in child growth have generally taken the form of increase, that is, children at a particular age are larger and more mature now than they were in the past. Such secular trends are commonly referred to as positive. Similarly, secular trends can be negative and absent as well. Positive secular trend. Nowadays, children on an average are taller, heavier, and mature earlier than those of several generations ago, indicating positive secular trend. Hospi and colleagues in 1996 reviewed the evidence of these secular trends in 17 nations that included many European countries as well as in Japan, Cuba, Brazil, North America, and Taiwan. They found that following World War II, the Japanese experienced strongest secular trend so far recorded for an entire nation. In 1950, the mean height of Japanese young adult men was 160 centimeters, whereas in 1995, it was almost 172 centimeters. So, over a period of 45 years, height increased at an average rate of 2.67 centimeters per decade. The rate of change was much faster in the first decade, which was about 4 centimeters, than in the last decade, which was about 1 centimeter. In contrast, the rate of secular increase in height in Sweden and Norway between 1952 and 1985 was only 0.3 centimeters per decade. Positive secular changes in the height of children and adolescents are largely, but not entirely, related to earlier maturation, as evidenced by adult trend in comparison with prepubertal children. Concomitant to the positive secular trend in height and dramatic increase in childhood weight, increased prevalence of obesity has been widely reported in almost all developed and developing countries. in the last 2 to 3 decades. Pacific have the highest prevalence of overweight among children, whereas parts of Southeast Asia and much of sub-Saharan Africa appear to have the lowest values. Secular trends take place not only within a region or a country, but also within migration of individuals from one place to another, which may be associated with the movement from low socioeconomic status to higher socioeconomic or in situ socioeconomic improvement. The migration effect on secular trend can be substantiated by the classic work of Boas with European children. These children experienced increase in height when they migrated to United States. Japanese immigrants to Hawaii were significantly taller than their parents residing in Japan. Greerlich showed that Japanese children born and brought up in California grew up to be taller than Japanese children born and brought up in Japan. Follow-up study of these same population shows that the growth in height of each generation of the children of migrants continues to increase until it converges on that of the host population. Sometimes the rate of secular trends is much more rapid than these classic cases. The Maya in Disneyland showed a rapid change in amount and rate of growth. In less than one generation, the Guatemalan Maya refugee children living in Indian town, Florida and Los Angeles became 5.5 centimeters taller on an average than their age mates at Guatemala. These evidences suggest that the plasticity of human phenotype changes at different rates for different traits. Maya children were compared with 3 different ethnic groups: the whites, the blacks, Black Mexican Americans. They were shorter than other groups and weighed less than the whites and the blacks, but did not differ significantly from Mexican Americans. There were no ethnic difference in body composition measures such as arm fat area, muscle area. Thus, in terms of energy and protein, Maya children appear to be generally healthy and well nourished, but shorter. The plasticity of human phenotypes changes at different rates for different traits. In most studies referring to positive secular trends, the increase in mean height from generation lags behind increases in weight and body composition. This could be explained as height reflects health and nutritional history, weight and body composition reflect events. With reference to intergenerational effect hypothesis, a child's height is an historical record of both the individual and his or her parents. In case of Maya refugee, the effects of chronic undernutrition and disease suffered by the parents are still being expressed in the growth of their children. Conversely, children who are better nourished and healthier will give their offsprings a healthier prenatal start in life. A secular trend among Indian adult population has presented a comprehensive, empirical descriptive of mean height differences and the underlying variation among adults in India across diverse socioeconomic, demographic, and geographically oriented groups as well as birth cohorts. It has indicated an increase of 4.5 cm per decade in men's height, which is similar, albeit modest, compared to changes shown in nations experience economic transitions, whereas adult stature increase over the past decades varied between 0.3 and 3 centimeters per decade across Western countries. This is in contrast to women in India who have experienced little growth in height and with increase in the year of birth, which is 0.1 centimeter per year. Although there has been increased economic growth in India, there is considerable evidence of little improvement in nutrient intake, especially in rural areas. What is negative secular trend? The direction of secular trend when get reversed is termed as negative secular trend. What happens in this phenomena? Children are shorter and lighter, matured later than previous generation. A discriminant incidence of the negative secular trend comes from Guatemala. During the period from 1974 to 1983, it was a time of intense civil war and political repression. The cross-sectional samples of 10 and 11-year-old boys and girls from families of high, moderate, and very low socio-economic status revealed discernible decline in the mean stature. A general deterioration of quality of life in Guatemala, especially the quality of nutrition and health of population, seems to be the major cause of negative secular trend. Secular trends during puberty may perhaps reflect the general reproductive health of a population. Recently, a large cohort of Danish school children has demonstrated secular trends in the age of onset of pubertal growth spurt and age at peak height velocity during puberty in 4 decades. The age at onset of pubertal growth spurt declines significantly by 0.2 and 0.4 years in girls and boys respectively, whereas age at peak velocity declined by 0.5 and 0.3 years in girls and boys respectively. A longitudinal study on Indian children and adolescents enrolled in Sri Aurobindo International Center for Education has also revealed decline in the age at onset of pubertal growth spurt and at peak height velocity in girls over 4 decades, whereas the same parameters were constant in boys. The first strike of menstruation, that is age at menarche, is closely related to the general process of development and is rigidly constrained by biological limits. In Poland, age at menarche declined from 1955 to 1978 by about 4.15 months per decade. Despite the higher rate of decline for villages and town girls, the city girls have always had earliest mean age at menarche. In 1955, the mean ages were village 14.3 years, town 13.9 years, and city 13.4 years, whereas in 1978, these mean ages changed from 2, 13.5, 13.1, and 12.9 years respectively. The differences were attributed to lower quality of nutrition, health care, and greater physical labors in town and villages compared to cities. Studies from India on menarchal age in Maharashtrian girls from 1960 onwards to 2000 have shown a consistent decline of age at menarche on an average by about 6 months per decade as compared to 3 to 4 months in some countries of Europe, North America, and several parts of the world. It reflects the improved socio-economic, nutritional, and general health conditions in India as compared to these countries where similar standards were achieved much earlier. The Saharia, a primitive tribal groups of Madhya Pradesh, depicts lower mean age at menarche among daughters than their mothers. This may be attributed to the improved socio-cultural life as a consequence of shift from traditional practice of cultivation, hunting, gathering, pastoralism into daily wages labors. Absence of secular trend. As the name itself indicates absence, it is the non-existence of any kind of secular trend. For instance, a population may have attained or is near its genetic potential for height and timing of maturity, so further changes may not be possible. On the other hand, a population may be living under environmental conditions that have not significantly or sufficiently improved or impoverished over time to induce positive or negative secular trend respectively. The persistence of traditional agricultural practices, relatively poor farmland, and limited economic resource for the improvement of agriculture is characteristic of many rural areas in developing countries. Lifestyles are also changing in some rural areas, resulting in a shift from subsistence farming to cash crop in part of Latin America or to a depastoralized lifestyle in some parts of Africa. Crowded living conditions, especially in rapidly growing urban slums, inadequate or marginal nutrition, disease, and associated social stresses persist in many developing countries. These conditions have similarities to those that were persistent in Europe in the 18th and 19th century, during which no secular trend was observed. What could be the possible causes for secular trend? Secular trend has occurred worldwide. The phenomena is of great interest for the researchers and scientists. What causes these secular trends? Some researchers believe that a general improvement in nutritional, better sanitation, better health services, and less tedious lifestyle may be the possible causes. These factors have permitted individuals to come closer to the genetically determined potential weight and stature. Today, a leveling of the secular trend appears to be occurring among the higher socioeconomic urban population. It must be pointed out that all positive secular trends are not desirable. For example, increased level of adiposity without corresponding increase in height noticed in some parts of the world, especially in developed parts, are associated with increased prevalence of obesity, particularly among children and adolescents, which is known to be health risk. Interrelated aspects contributing to secular trend. Elimination of growth inhibiting factors such as epidemic and endemic disease or reduction in their incidence rates, a condition conducive to the transmission of infectious microbes. With reduced infectious disease load, energy and nutrient that would have diverted to ward off infection would now be available to support the cellular processes of growth and maturation. Favorable economic condition as indexed by a blend of family income, occupation, education level of parents, deciphered as improved living conditions and nutrition for growth and maturing infants, children and adolescents. Thus, improved nutrition and public health work synergistically with reduced infectious disease load. Energy changes such as population admixture or increased outbreeding have occurred with increased migration and interclass mobility, but changes associated with heterozygosity are rather small in the context of the major changes that characterize secular trend. Let us summarize what we have learnt in the module Secular Trend in Growth in the paper Human Growth and Development. Secular trend is not an overnight process. It takes years to occur. We assume that the secular increase in size and earlier maturation is a result of improved environmental conditions within a population. These have led to improved health status of population as a whole. Similarly, secular decrease in size or delayed maturation may come about because of negative conditions. But the reasons remain only partially uncovered. Quite assuredly, many factors help children to more closely approach their full genetic potential. Among these are improved nutrition, more widespread health and medical care, higher education level of mother, maybe the father also, better housing and living conditions, better transportation, clean water, improved sanitation, immunization programs and population mobility both geographically to urban areas and socially upward. Thank you.